You have to bottle it up, which is really great to bottle your feelings and just let it build over time.
Pretty sure that's a scientifically proven method for doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just bottle it.
Yeah.
Just push that shit down.
They write books on this stuff. Yeah.
75 and 80% of business owners experience weekly burnout.
I don't think burnout's real, do you?
Oh, really?
I don't. The third stress that I didn't know about was the impact that business would have on my family. But it really was something that nobody explains these points that we're talking about.
They're just like, hey, watch out and be careful with this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I saw it coming. I didn't know how to stop it. All these idiots who start a business because they're like, I can make a lot of money. No, nobody's going to be my boss. Have all these assets and things like that. But they don't think about all the downsides of starting a business, right?
No, because most of the time we're glass full people, right? So you're looking at life going, $1.5 million in the first year, no problem at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't notice the pain points that come, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode of just a few things that affected our lives that nobody talks about.
Yeah, you quit your job and you're like, oh yeah, my kid needs dental work. Do I have insurance? I used to have a great 401k with a 5% match, and now I have to figure out how to save for retirement on my own. Or
401k, is that a band?
Yeah, exactly. Spoken like a.
Is that what happened in 2000? Yeah.
For our younger audience, there was a bit of a scare in the year 2000. They thought that the computers weren't going to reset to 2000 because they were all on 1990 something. Yeah,
Windows 98. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yes, so nobody knows about a 401k, and so the stress just keeps piling up. Right? I don't have insurance. I don't have a retirement plan. If you've seen this, we have bad week. All right. How are my guys getting paid? Oh, maybe I'll just put it on my own personal credit card or pull out of my own personal savings so that these guys can, put food on their table this weekend.
Ryan, is there a better way to handle stress than caffeine and nicotine? Is there other ways we're going to talk about in this episode?
If you want to go back to one of our early episodes, we talked about clear liquor and heading off to
clear liquor because it's healthier on the liver. Yeah,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's tougher for the customers to smell. But yeah. So yes, absolutely. There are definitely better ways to handle
Listerine
stress.
Works great.
Yeah. Definitely better ways to handle stress. And most of us have figured out some of them, but what's I guess the best way that you figured out that's
well, I think more importantly, before you get to the solution of it, you've got to figure out what kind of stress that you have. I think one of the biggest things, you notice the stress, but then how does it reveal itself in business to your employees, if you have them, to your family, those kinds of things, right? But most of the stress for me came from business and it not being everything I aspired it to be in the first period of time, right?
You didn't quite hit that $1 million the first year, right? Not quite.
Yeah. Then the other part of it goes, that stress is nobody else's problem because most people really, they have enough shit going on in their own lives. They don't really care about yours, right? And it's the harsh reality. There are people that you can bring in, but for the most part, everyone's dealing with their own stuff. They don't have time to take yours on. It's not a selfish mindset.
Time or energy, right?
Yeah, time or energy, right?
Even if they love you, have the time, and even would want to help, they're just completely incapable, either because they don't understand it or they're too busy dealing with their own shit.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I discovered as stress started to build, and it was just payroll, which we talked about previously, and learning how to fire people, hire people, looking for good help, scaling, all of those things build stress. Like how do I get myself out of this? How do we get to the next point? It's all little bits of stress, and some of it you can handle immediately, some of it you can't. But most of that stress is nobody else's problem inside your company.
Yeah,
you can have a leadership team, but if I'm stressed and then I show up stressed and it's on my face, it's in my body language, it's in my tone.
Not that that's ever happened here.
It's in my emails. All it does is put stress on everyone else because they either feel like they've got to take that load off of you if they're good people, or they feel like they're going to get fired. Yep. So you have to bottle it up, which is really great to bottle your feelings and just let it build over time.
Pretty sure that's a scientifically proven method for doing it, right?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
bottle it.
Yeah.
Just push that shit down.
They write books on this stuff. Yeah. Tape it up in
Coffee
a box.
spill.
Party foul. Yeah.
Party foul.
And so
gotta chug it.
and so we hide the stress, and there's a healthy point of how do you start to relieve that, right? And you're in a different stage right now, but even then, stresses that come into your life, you can't wear it. You can't wear it when you come home, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because whether it's stress about work or I used to get way too wrapped up in politics and get wound up thinking about what Bill Clinton or Barack Obama was going to do to the economy or something like that. But
I can't believe you wasted your time on that. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Like I had
I never do anything dumb. Yeah.
I had no control over it, but I was still stressing about it. Now it's stuff like, oh, am I ready to hire this position, or should I, double revenue so that I can truly afford it? Things like that.
Yeah.
Or okay, when I hire this guy, do I give him all this or just this piece? And I've got a deadline with this thing, and I've got 4 different projects that I have to get done today, or else, or else I'm gonna have I'm gonna have unhappy customers, not happy customers.
Yeah.
So you'd bring all that home, and you could distance yourself from your family. We've talked about the family problems. The one that you brought up that I hadn't gotten to yet, like I was still young in my business age and hadn't got there and hadn't really heard about yet.
It's not young in your normal age.
Yeah, I'm very old soul. But you talked about loneliness, and that's something that people who've never run a business can't. It's hard for them to picture it. Like, well, I mean, I'm surrounded by employees. I got customers. I got all these people. I'm constantly seeing people. Why am I lonely? It's partially just the position, right? If you're a leader, people bring problems to you. They don't come to you to talk about the good stuff necessarily. And there's very few other people who really understand what you're going through. So you get lonely, right?
You get lonely in the stressful moments. But then for me, loneliness came when it's kind of like, when you stop drinking, right? And anyone stops drinking, how many friends do you lose? 75%? 80%?
Pretty much, yeah. Because everybody they were all drinking buddies, right?
So when you go into business on your own, even though you have people around you, if you're passionate about it and you love it, which I am, and you are too, we talk about. We talk about relationships. Some we talk about spiritual growth, but then I would say probably 75% of our conversation is business related, right, and where it's going to go.
Yep.
Well, if you're a W-2 employee, you don't have that mindset. And they're like,
why is this guy always talking about the numbers?
Yeah. Why are you talking about business that makes no sense? Why are you?
Didn't you realize there's a football game on?
Why aren't you coming to this? Why aren't you taking time off of work? That was huge. And you isolate a little bit in those moments. And the amazing part about the group of men that we have in our core, is that they're all kind of most of them are going through the same journey.
Right. And
so you don't feel alone, because what do we do as humans? We isolate, right? In every situation, doesn't matter what it is, and business is no different. I didn't know how to put words to that of it becomes a very lonely journey, because, when I was working until midnight, 2 a.m, up early, like, you're nuts. Why are you doing that? And sometimes it was joking, and then eventually it kind of gets to you, whether it's a joke for a long period of time or not. And you're like, maybe there's something wrong with me. So you hold back a little bit and you start being less vulnerable with people. And then you realize, here I am. And
go crazy.
Nobody,
don't mind if I do.
What do we think? We go, nobody knows what I'm going through right now. When the fact is, the reality is there's a large group of people that know what you're going through. And most of the people that were in your life before will not understand. And my even going back to family, my kids didn't understand. Some of that was poor communication on my part. But other people in your life just don't want to go on that journey with you. They're doing their own life, and so they're not going to follow suit. And you working a ton of hours, being tired, being exhausted. Some of that's not their issue. I think some of it's stuff that we have to deal in ourselves. And I think that's the part where the stress that starts to reveal itself on the surface. You have to find ways to deal with it, but you also have to find ways to mask it for a period of time.
Yep.
And I
Absolutely.
still struggle with, my facial expressions.
Yeah, and that's a wisdom level balance where you figure out, okay, now is a time to keep this stress inside because I need to communicate this other thing to this person, or no, I need to be open and vulnerable so they know, like, hey, I'm not just a jerk.
Yeah.
There's something going on here. And that's something that takes practice and wisdom and self-reflection, which, you talked about journaling, which is a great habit that can help a lot of people, business owners or not, just evaluate who they are and where they're at.
Well, and a lot of people don't understand why we're pulling back from the things that we used to do, right? I love to go shoot pool, play darts. I haven't done that for a long time. And it's just not something it's something I still enjoy, but it's not the priority now because, the business became my key priority. And then with employees and all those things and then new goals, those things got set behind. They'll probably come back. Possibly, I don't know. But for this season, you pull back accidentally from everyone, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?"
In one of your mansions somewhere, you should probably have a man cave with a nice pool table and
you should have the time to use it at that point
dartboard
too.
Yes, exactly. That's the idea.
But the
least
average
when you're
small
on,
business 0 to 5 years. And so if you got 5 years where you've pulled back, maybe unintentionally from people around you, they just don't know how to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, and they also don't get it. Like we were talking about the W-2 guys. People stay in that realm because it's easy. It's what everybody else is doing. You don't stand out from the crowd, so everybody likes you, things like that. You don't make people uncomfortable because you're not doing any more than they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just kind of floating along. Some of them like loads of crap, as some would say, but
yeah.
So if you don't challenge people, they're more happy to hang out with you.
Yeah. What's a way in your life, Ryan, that the stress that you're in the past year and a half, what is that? How have you managed those things in a healthy way with some of your friends group? I mean, your friend group was very intentional in who you brought into your life. So business owners and stuff like that. You've kind of been in that realm. So maybe not as difficult as mine was in that journey of separating from people. But have you seen that happen where you separated from old friends, even in recent years?
Well, we talked about the first one when I was in the Army and I stopped being a party 6 night a week guy, closed down the bars every night guy. It totally changed my friend group, and honestly, it went to basically, my wife Ashley was my best friend, and that worked out great. But it does change things and make it a little lonely sometimes. As a civilian professional, I haven't necessarily experienced some of the loneliness yet that I think you went through because
you got me for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gee,
you and me. Yeah.
You and me together.
Yeah.
Little Billy Crystal. So yeah, that hasn't been a big problem for me, but I think most of my stress I haven't dealt with. I just it's not no
great.
big deal. Yeah. So we can look forward to a breakdown soon.
Yeah.
No, I'm continuing to practice healthy habits and stuff like that. My spiritual life is a big, I guess, outlet for me for stress. I've been blessed naturally with a strong faith, and so leaning into that and strengthening my prayer life and my quiet time and things like that helps me get my mind in the right focus to be able to go out and do work. And then at the end of the day, be okay when I missed a deadline, or something that I tried didn't work, or I disappointed a customer in some ways, because I pretty much do that every day, right, Mike?
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything on the podcast, but
I appreciate that.
Well, but you said something just a second ago about breakdown, and that got me thinking. I went from that word to burnout. What's your thoughts on burnout? I don't need you to sing every time I say a word, but
every time I say a word. If you don't want
we
me
have
to
a special guest out here somewhere, we can swap this out. But yeah, burnout. Now that's a real trendy word that's been around since I was.
If you're feeling burnt out,
do you think it's real?
Oh, absolutely. If you're feeling burnt out, you're in good company, because I think the stats I was looking at said between 75 and 80% of business owners experience weekly burnout.
Fucking stats.
Yeah, yeah, stats.
See, but I don't
who
think
needs that stupid science
I don't
stuff,
think
right?
burnout's real. Do you?
Oh, really?
I don't.
No, okay. I do. I think it's real. I think you're stupid, and no, no, no.
Tell us how you really
Yeah.
feel.
I think you can call it something else if you want, but okay. So you know what you call it, Mike? You call it getting bored. You say, okay, I've been doing this job for 2 years, and
So it's a word that has multiple meanings. Yeah.
or multiple words for the same meaning.
Yeah.
What's
But if I'm burnt out, just makes it sound like you got nothing left, though, right? So you have to, because I think you define it as that. Sometimes it means you head a different direction, or yes, I do get bored.
You lose your motivation, right? Like you're
The
overworked.
passion behind it kind of dies for a second. But I don't know whether it's necessarily overworked, because even last year I wasn't burnt out. I was just fully engaged and passionate about what I was doing. It wasn't really a burnout. I just needed to switch things up. And so maybe there's a more generic term for it, because burnout just says just that.
And burnout
means I need a nap, and that's not really a thing.
Burnout's a way overused term. You got everybody from middle schoolers to retirees talking about burnout, and it's like you can't all be burnt out. Some of that's just natural stress. Some of that's you having a weak mindset. So maybe you haven't been burnt out per se because you have.
I felt like I have. It's just something I've been playing around with the idea of in the last few years.
Yeah.
Of, is burnout actually real?
Burnout real?
Because I did a whole year of 120.
Talk about a hot take right there.
Yeah, that'd be a good.
Burnout is bullshit. Doesn't exist.
I definitely. I know there's different. Well, I can't talk. Yeah, different sides of an argument there. That's something that you could get into. But.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could break down the okay, is it burnout? Is it boredom? Is it lack of motivation? Yeah, I mean, call it whatever you want.
Hungover, yeah.
For some people, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Going back to that clear liquor.
Yeah. I was relieving my stress in a healthy manner, and I became burnt out. I think the biggest thing with burnout is because, like you said, you were working 100 hours a week and you didn't feel burnt out.
Oh, great.
But some people get to 40 hours a week and feel burnt out. It is all about the proper motivation. John Maxwell book I'm going through right now, he talks almost exactly about that, because you can get burnt out doing something you absolutely love if you don't feel like there's a big future out there. There's no big payoff at the end, or you can't.
Or you're focusing too much on the future, or you feel stuck. I feel, when I feel stuck, I get like that, almost a level of claustrophobia,
Ooh, yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's all encompassing kind of thing. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was kind of a rabbit trail there going into the whole burnout section, but that's great what you shared with your stress and your spiritual walk with that is a great way to relieve it. How do you do with because I don't often see you with a grumpy face when you walk in here, and maybe that's
I make my own weather. I take sunshine wherever I'm going. Part of that's natural. Just a naturally, like you were talking about, glass half full guy. I'm pretty optimistic. My wife would say unrealistically optimistic.
Annoyingly so.
Yeah, annoyingly so. Yeah. Which makes us a great balance. She looks at things realistically, and I look at them optimistically, and it keeps us from jumping off cliffs we shouldn't. And also, I keep her from, being too conservative on certain things. So, God knew what he was doing when he put us together. That's for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, I stay positive, but I've also done a lot of work personally, to better myself. We were talking to one of your young guys on staff the other day, and he is a very gifted salesperson. He's very smart, so he picks up plumbing and things like that very quickly. And the only advice I gave him was, you've got a wealth of talent and possibilities here. Don't think that you're just going to get better just because you're doing something. You have to actively chase improvement and self-improvement, or else you'll just kind of, marginally increase and maybe even get a little bit worse if you don't chase that stuff. So he can take his
you can get really
talent.
good. Yeah, you can get really good at something and still be a skillful person, but it may not be authentic, right?
That's not. Yes, that's very true.
No,
that's not where I was making. Not the point I was making. I was saying.
Well, thanks for correcting me. I didn't want to.
Well, you were.
Don't get offended. I was just asking. Yeah.
He can be LeBron James because he's got the natural talent, and he scratch that.
Like
just edit it out.
I don't know whether
he
it's
can
really
be
LeBron.
He can
James.
be Michael Jordan because he's the greatest of all time, not LeBron James.
But he's not black.
I was like, what? Of course, Michael.
It's a really
Jackson,
terrible
Michael
analogy. Yep.
He could be Michael Jordan because he's got the natural talent if he works hard and puts himself, in uncomfortable positions.
Is natural talent real though? I don't think so.
Oh, absolutely. You don't think there are some people who are smarter than others? You don't think there's people who are more physically?
It doesn't make you naturally talented.
That is exactly what that means. Do you have more height talent than I do?
It's not a height talent. It was just there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's natural. Anyway, so I could work all day long and never be as good at basketball as Michael Jordan. But if I was 6'8" and more athletic, but I didn't work hard, I still wouldn't be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is he's got great natural talent. If he hones it, he can be a rock star. If not, he'll just do okay.
Yeah.
And that was my advice to him was, hey, you've got God-given talent. Go use it for something better than just,
What's that got to do with stress?
You
lost me. I'm just messing with you. That's really good advice.
But you know what it has to do with stress and burnout? If you're not chasing a big dream, it's really easy to get burnt out. I was burnt out in my W-2 job to a point, even though I was less busy, there was less stress. I was, making my own schedule, making, probably 50% more than the local average. I was kind of living the dream. That's part of why I didn't leave it. I probably waited 5 years too long to leave it because it was super comfortable. Made good money, made my own schedule. My boss lived 5 hours away and never bothered me because I always made my numbers. Why would you leave a W-2 when it's like that?
Yeah.
Because and the reason is because the ceiling was much lower than it is with a real job or with a business. But I was burnt out, even though it was an easy job. I was burnt out.
But you wanted more. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was frustrated as far as like reaching my goals and dreams.
Right.
Because there was a ceiling. I was making stockholders really rich and I was just getting by pretty well, but just getting by, relative to the stockholders. So burnout's bullshit. If you have a good goal and stuff like that, you'll never burn out. Right.
I think that's where the idea came from, and that's the one I've been muddling around in my brain. Haven't done a whole lot of research on it.
And loneliness is real.
Yeah, and how do you, well, since you haven't really dealt with the loneliness side, I guess I'll speak on that for a minute.
Because I had you, Mike.
You had me, yeah. The way I've come to, one of the solutions I guess I found to dealing with that loneliness is shutting the work off, right? It's that the life work balance that's also, I think, bullshit, but it's just one of those terms that gets thrown out there and it sounds like an excuse, right? So I just leave it alone and it's, people can say whatever they want. It doesn't matter. But learning how to be present in every situation that I'm in, I have a really difficult time. Even my office knows. They're like, "Are you paying attention right now?" and
over here, Mike. Over here.
And I was like, "Oh, I was listening to you. Sorry, I got distracted by a thought." And so I've had to be very intentional.
Squirrel.
Yeah, about and doing it at home, with family, all of those things in every situation, being present. And the one solution that's helped is scheduling intentional time. And so even if it's something fun, like or it's not something fun, it's scheduling an appointment with my office that's 60 feet away, right? 30 feet, whatever it happens to be. I have to schedule that time, and then I'm walking in there with the mindset that I'm here for an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it happens to be.
And you have basically my undivided attention.
Yeah, and then being present in those moments has helped me fix that lonely feeling. I mean, there's still things that are mine to deal with and just mine, but for the day-to-day stuff, it's definitely helped in scheduling time, looking at it, going, okay, now I'm going to be intentionally present. I'm going to be a part of this conversation so that you're listening well, you're connecting well, and then it's helped,
Now let's see, because I agree with most of that. The work-life balance thing, I think intelligent people can disagree. I have to work on, or I have to focus on the work-life balance because I do have a wife and 5 kids, and part of that is being present. Because I spend plenty of time with him, but I have to be present when I'm there.
Balance idea says that I've got to give work this much, I've got to give wife this much, I've got to give kids this much. And that's what I mean by there's a scripted, each one gets 2 hours, right? And that's the part that is difficult when you're talking to people that are passionate about the work-life balance.
Absolutely.
You can't put in 10 hours. You've got to make sure you're balanced. And so it's 8 hours. Well, who defined 8 hours,
Yeah. The same idiot who made daylight savings time.
Probably. Yeah.
Don't get me started on daylight savings time.
Okay. Don't bring it up again.
Anyway, but I've got, like you were talking about, I've got a really good friend who's very successful, also has a very, as far as I can tell, healthy home life. And I asked him about that. And he said, well, my kids have seen the business that we're building and the goals that we're hitting and things like that. So he never had a problem that dad worked a lot. So
and that takes a really good leader to be able to come in and communicate that. And that's part of where I failed, in times past, when he was, 5 years ago or 4 years ago now, and didn't communicate what I was doing. It's just like, shoot, I guess I'll see you guys at 11 o'clock tonight,
or you didn't say anything.
I just showed up.
And then just showed up. Yeah. That's why they say Jamie Dimon's been so successful at what he said, some big firm, but
is that the guy that created diamonds?
Yep, I invented diamonds. I think that's.
I just went with the last name.
That's the whole. I think it's Diamond, no D. Anyway, but his philosophy in his company is like communicate the vision, communicate it again, and then communicate it again, and then do it again, because he wants everybody from the lowest stock trader, secretary, something like that, up to C-suite level people to know. This is why our company exists. This is our philosophy, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. Because if you don't communicate it, it doesn't matter how awesome you're doing or even how much time you're spending, because it can still fall short.
Yeah, and I think that goes into the third stress that I didn't know about was the impact that business would have on my family, and we've touched base on this a few times before, but it really was something that nobody explains these points that we're talking about. They're hard to find in books. The family part is really hard to find in books, but they don't talk about this, right? It would have been nice to know.
Yeah, no, and what I have heard on them is it's very much, hey, look out for this.
Yeah, it will happen.
And there's no real solution. They're just like, hey, watch out and be careful of this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I saw it coming. I didn't know how to stop it.
Yeah. So if you have a family, don't ignore them, right? Make that a part. It may mean there's going to be some slower growth that happens, or you just have to communicate like, hey, I got to work 10 hours. I'm not going to be home till 6 o'clock tonight. I love you guys, but make up for it. Right. And I tried in the tail, I do better now in the last couple of years for sure of like, no, okay. If I got to work Saturday morning, we're going to spend all Saturday afternoon doing some stuff and Sunday, and always trying to make sure you take those days.
Yeah. Making up for it's huge. Communicating's huge. So they're not expecting you to be home, and being intentional when you're there. So intentional about blocking the time, and then intentional about being present and because if you spend 10 hours a day with your kids or 10 minutes a day, one's not necessarily better than the other. If you're spending 10 hours, but you're distracted the whole time. Yeah. Or, oh no, I got 10 minutes of really focused time. I knew dad was paying attention to me. That might be better than the 10 hours.
I think it is. Yeah. I actually listened to, I can't remember his wife's name, Andy Elliott and his wife. They have a huge sales company type thing, right? Training program, coaching. And I think, they're in the 100 millions for revenue type thing. They're doing great, right? It's fantastic. And she was talking about that because as a mom, she's a partner in the business too. She's doing it, and she spends a half hour of this is your time, and they've got 3 kids. And the kids love it because they know at this time, I'm going to get everything I need to say and say it. And obviously they do other things with their children too, but on the daily routine, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't just leave your kids and disappear for a couple of weeks and be like, what? I thought you guys were fine.
Yeah. This is one thing that I'm trying to pick up from my wife. She's really good about it. Scheduled time with each kid, which is hard with 5. And I need to get better at that, but she does it every week. She spends more time with our kids than I think any moms I know. But she also runs 2 businesses and a nonprofit board. So she's very good at being intentional.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world. And the kids look forward to it like crazy. It's like, Mom, is it our special time? Yep. Let's go.
I've definitely had a weakness in scheduling, and that's been something that I've gotten, my gals have helped me get better at.
Yeah. That's the joy of it, right? You either find a